Okay, so we'll begin. Well, having completed this theory of surfaces, I think it is time that we start the basics of shell theory. Then again I am saying thin. Thin means we will define what is a thin shell. And then elastic. Actually it is a linear elastic, but it is elastic. We are not doing plastic shell theory or elastoplastic shell theory. We are doing linear elastic shell theory. Basic meaning of this is, you have all done theory of elasticity course. What is the basic assumption on linear theory of elasticity course? That deformations are small. What does that mean? I will not call that, no. So displacements or deformations are small means the derivatives of displacements are and their products. Derivatives, du by dx, etc., xi. Derivatives are their product, du by dx, dv by dy, product. So either square of derivatives or product, product also becomes quadratic. They will be considered small compared to the first derivative. Okay, so that brings in simplification in the definition of strain displacement relations. Your strain displacement relations, if you do this, then strain displacement relation that you derive for any material, that turns out to be linear. Right hand side will be all linear term. Linear term means there will be no u square term. There will be no du by dx multiplied by u term. There will be no du by dx into dv by dy term. So such square quadratic terms will not be there. They will all be. So that is the meaning of small. So we are following theory of elasticity. First of all, so don't write. I don't like people writing assumption. Displacements are small. The whole thing is we are under the umbrella of linear theory of elasticity. So displacements, all the strain displacements are linear. So, but first assumption, as we will say, will be thin. So as we will see little later, before I start this, just after I start, give you little background to the shell theory. Because plate theory was derived by Poisson and Kirchhoff around 1850. Then shells. Shells is beam theory. When is the beam? Euler-Bernoulli beam theory. You should see Bernoulli-Euler beam theory. That is what we taught in strength of material course, first course on mechanics of solids. What is that? What is the year? You should see. It must be in the beginning of the 19th century. That means 1800 something. Beginning. Plates, 2 dimension, extension of that to 2 dimension in 50. Then extension of that to curved plate is 1888. There is a paper by this man, Love. He is British, on small free vibrations. And deformations of thin elastic shells. This was published in Philosophical Transactions of Royal Society. See, in those days, Royal Society of England was very famous. Society London. There are so many. There are also Edinburgh. Royal Society London is the more famous, which gives this one Fellow of Royal Society. You know, FRS. FRS is one title which is given to those people who have distinguished themselves in some areas. You know, it can be anything, science or engineering. They are given fellow of Royal Society, London. There is also Fellow of Royal Society of the I told you Edinburgh. Edinburgh in which state? See, England has got how many states? United Kingdom. England itself is one state. England is one state of United Kingdom. There is top Scotland, northern portion. Then middle portion is England, and then the western portion is south. West south is Wales. So these are the three main states of United Kingdom, and there is one portion that is in dispute, that is called Ireland. Just like we have Kashmir. So Irish people they are claiming on that portion. English people are claiming on the top, tip of that map. Okay, so there is a Royal Society in London, and there is also Edinburgh. Edinburgh is the capital of Scotland. So this was published in Philosophical Transactions of Royal Society, volume number 17A. You will say why I am giving all this. Pages 491 to 546. It was quite a long paper. See, 491, 56 pages. 56 pages printed in a small letter. So it was a long paper in 1988. And this paper was written by Love, A.H. Love. So that is why if you want to register your name, you must publish. You must put in a good, not in your college journal, because that will be thrown in, that will go to Raddiwala. So after some time. So this is, I'm not in newspaper also. So, so it has to be in proper archival journal. Archive, we say that which can be archived. They are all recorded and then they are put safe. And then this gives you the date. Yes, because there will be two people, publishing. Some will know, I did it in 1887. So you say, bring it, show me, where is your paper? Where have you published? So that is the way. I worked, I was fortunate in working with a famous person, O.C. Zienkiewicz. Have you heard about his name? So I lived in Wales for 3 years and was a visitor at the University of Wales. So I was very close association with him. So on his door, he's he's no more. He was a from Polish. He came to England, did his PhD from University College London, Imperial College London, under very famous person. Again, there is another person very famous in structures, is Southwell, Southwell, British Southwell. He has done a lot of work on structural mechanics, including this moment distribution method. So he worked with Southwell for his PhD, and he became the head of department of this department of civil engineering. So on his door he had put a small, what do you call? Yes, he had stuck a cartoon there, one person coming with tie, very smart, and then going for interview, for some position. And then at the door, the secretary asks you, what have you published? Have you got, show me your record. You say, sorry, I don't have publication. Then please go back. And that person is, he returns back with, with a very morose, face. And then there is another person who is very modest, not very stylish. He goes quietly. She asks, what is there? Yes. So he shows his all the portfolio. This is what. Okay, please sit down. So this he had done on his door, entry door. He had put a. So if you have not published, you are finished. You are. So unless you publish, you have no future. That is what he used to say. And then he made it because mechanics also it is not. See, biological field is very, very intense. People fight for morning, afternoon, that I did it in the morning and I got this result, and somebody will say, like C.N.R. Rao, who is there in ISC Bangalore, recently he was in the news, So they fight for the dates, time, yes, I did it. Somebody else will say, no. But in mechanics also there is a lot of, development. So he used to say, even before you publish, at least write a report. Before publishing, you write a report and register in my office, department. It should be in proper form. It should be printed. It should be proper cover. It should say that it is a internal report, and you registered. So he used to say that somebody will not be. I will be able to prove later on that this was done earlier, and there is already a proof that this was done. So he used to say that before publishing, before sending it to journal, because some time goes before sending, and you must write an internal report, and that you must register. You must make a habit of. So these things were good, a very nice thing, and that is how he brought that small department to such a height. So, okay, this A is Love, he is 1888, he wrote this paper. So, this theory is called love shell theory. Just like you have Poisson Kirchhoff, you have love theory, LOVE. Of course, first time anything is done, it is done in a haphazard manner, not in a very systematic, because ideas are not very clear. So, this was redone with the same assumption, with a little improvement, was in 1941, I believe, 41 or 44, no, 41, 1941, Reisner, I told you, I have given you the name of Reisner, Eric Reisner, E. Reisner, and then he did a new derivation of the equations for the deformation of elastic shells. This was published American Journal of Mathematics. Volume number 63. You have to have, then pages 177 to 184, not very long, and this was in 1941. Later on, Love also wrote a book, treatise, later, much later. Love wrote a treatise on theory of elasticity. So that is also very famous. Yeah. A treatise, treatise, treatise on the mathematical theory of elasticity. This was published quite early. I think fourth edition was published in Dover, New York, and fourth edition came in 1944. H. Love, 1944. So it must have been much earlier, first edition. So he wrote a treatise. Of course, this book is available on Dover publication. So this contains whatever was here in the first one, A. H. Love, whatever he had derived way back in 1988. So this is the history of shell theory, thin shell theory. We are going to do, because Reissner, the derivation of Reissner is good. I mean, the way he describes, that is much better than what Love has done, in his. So we will follow whatever Reissner is. So this is the general. So it is a. So why do you need shell theory? First, why do you need what is the answer to this? What is the answer to this? What is the necessity of shell theory? Yes. See, three-dimensional, if you analyze it as a 3D elasticity problem, then it is too complex. Solution is too, if not impossible, but it is really too complex. So we want to reduce the dimension, and we would like to study the behavior of some surface which will be parallel to or not parallel to, supposing there is a shell which is varying thickness, it will not be parallel. So there will be a surface, fictitious surface. We will study the behavior of that surface, and then knowing the behavior of a surface, we will try to extrapolate, deduce the behavior of any point inside the shell space. So idea is, from 3D, why do you any problem, 3D to 2D reduction. This is very important, because once you are doing something, you should always feel, why I am doing this. What is the need? One is shell is so complex. Okay, so like plates, we will just try to write down the basic assumptions. And now for this reduction, we will have to make some assumptions. Because without making assumptions, you cannot deduce a two-dimensional theory from three-dimension. Of course, your assumptions must be reasonable. Not that it will distort the behavior of the original structure altogether. If it distorts, then it is of no use. So you must have reasonable assumptions. So next comes assumptions, because once you want to do this approximation 2D, so this is approximation. it will call for approximation, and therefore this is related to assumptions. What are the assumptions? One is, the first one has to be shell is thin. What is a thin? I think just like plates, there are two sides of the coin. One is geometrical, other one is mechanistic. Meaning of thin, one is geometrical, that means thickness has to be small. Now how is small? How do you measure thickness? It has to be thin. Thickness has to be small compared to something. Now just like in plates we took what? Smaller of the two dimension. Thickness divided by A or B, less than some quantity. As long as it is less than 20, 15, it is okay, thin shell or a thin plate. Now here we take geometrical definition, which is not a definite, that h by radius of curvature. We always measure here with radius because radius of curvature could be changing from point to point. So we take the least radius of curvature, minimum. It has to be minimum, then only your ratio will be of meaning. This must be less than, we say, okay. This means how can you neglect this compared to unity? So you have to decide, okay, whether 1 by 10 is small or 1 by 50 is small, that you have to decide. So that is geometrical definition. Then we will come to the mechanistic definition later as before. Then the second one is as before. See, there is no change. If you have learnt your beam theory well, then understanding plates and shell is not at all difficult. But unfortunately, beam theory in colleges are not taught properly. So people don't know the basic assumptions, why you are doing beam theory, what is the need for. So next one is what? It is thin. First of all, thinness we have. So we'll make some assumptions. So then we'll say there is a transverse normal. This normal, now we know in shell it can be, direction can be, it is a vector. N is a vector, unit vector. So we, as before, just like in plates, we'll say that transverse normal remain straight and normal to the some surface, mid surface, or if you want to say that, mid surface, and undergo no change in length. Because it is thin, so I can say, okay, thickness is so small that transverse normals remain straight normal to mid surface, mid. Here it cannot be plane. In plates we were using mid plane or mid surface. Anything was possible, but here it has to be surface, because or we call it reference surface. So normal to, so remain straight, normal to mid surface, and undergo no change in length during deformation. See, this phrase is correct, during deformation. Most of the books they write before and after bending, or before and after loading, something like that, bending. It is not before and after. What about when you are loading all the time? So during, I found that this phrase is correct in one book, and that is what this one has written, Love book has written, normals to the reference surface of the cell remain normal to it. But this is what he has written. See, everybody will have different, and that is most important. You should not copy from any book, any paper. You must write in your own words, but don't make it complicated and worse than whatever is already. If something is very crisp, try to remain, let it be crisp. But then, so what is written here, normals to the reference surface of the cell remain normal to it and undergo no change in length during deformation. But he has forgotten thin shell, that remain normal to it. I have written here, undergo normal to it. Normal to it. Remain normal to it. Remain straight. Remain straight, one word is not there here. Reference cell normal to it. It says simply normal to it. I also say remain straight. Normal does not go distortion. Remain straight, normal to the mid surface and undergo no change in length during deformation. So it says remain normal to it and undergo no change in length during deformation. At least this word is correct, during deformation. Okay, second. So you know what is the implication of this? Normal to this means what? If this is the reference surface, and this is your normal here, this, it says that after loads are applied, so this will become something like this. This black ink is deformed and this point will move here. So it says that this angle is originally, this is the thickness, normal. Then here, after this point also will deflect, this point also will deflect. So it has come here with the black ink. This is the thickness. Now I am saying yet it remains still normal to it. Only thing, position is changed. So what is the meaning of this? What is the implication of this? Transverse shear, full sentence. Say. Now you have changed. Why did you change? Yes. If you say stress, 0 marks. Okay. Transverse shear strains. So gamma. So if on the surface, now you have, see, we have been using alpha and beta. Two curvilinear coordinates, and normal is, n. So there will be, see what is happening every time writing alpha and beta, because there will be a lot of derivation. So I will have to write gamma or something alpha, then again beta. Writing 1 and 2 is much easier. So that is how in many books x, y, z is written as x1, x2, x3. Alpha, beta will be written as alpha 1 and this as alpha 2. So that you can use the subscripts 1 and 2. So we will be using alpha 1, alpha 2 in future. So now the meaning of this is that gamma 1z, 1n, n is same as, now z is not fixed here. Z is changing from normal direction on the cell surface. So it will be 1, 2 and normal. So z is along the normal. So I will be using z. So 1z is 0, gamma 2z is 0, and what else? This remains normal to mid surface. This meaning of this is this. Normal to mid surface means this. What else? And undergo no change in length. Epsilon z is 0. So this is the meaning of this. Third, what is the third assumption normally in Bernoulli, Euler and plate? Sigma z? Sigma z is small. Sigma z, that means transverse normal stress within the shell is small compared to other stresses. Transverse normal stress, words if you want to write. Transverse normal stress, that is sigma z, is small compared to other stresses in shell space. These are the only three assumptions. We don't make any other. These are the only three. So what is the meaning of this? That sigma z is not exactly 0. Approximately it will be neglected compared to other stresses. When there is an expression, you have sigma z, sigma x, sigma y, tau xy. So I will say, okay, sigma z can be forgotten. This means this is. So it is sigma z is tending to, don't ever put small. Don't ever put equal to. So these are the three. Why do we do this? Except, now this assumption is valid except at points where you have concentrated loads on the shell or plate or beam. Contact points, yes. On the top surface if you are applying load. So sigma z cannot be 0 there. So this is, so in that also you must know. So this assumption is, so wherever you have very heavy loads, especially this, there will be a lot of stress concentration and this assumption will not be valid. So this must be kept in mind. So these are the only three assumptions that we make still. So if you see Euler-Bernoulli beam, Poisson-Kirchhoff plate and Love shell, they are same. They are based upon the same assumptions. Only thing is, this is for 1D, this is for 2D flat, 2D curved. We have left one thing in between, and that is called arch. Arch is also another element, a structural element which is used very frequently, arches. So arch will also come somewhere, and you can also develop. Unfortunately, I don't find reference to arches. Not many people have worked on, they did not give the first. This was made, beam theory was made for curved and then with the same assumption. There must be someone who must have done, the straight line must have been made curved. So we have to see in literature who has done. So there must be also an arch. So arch, and for example this, it comes from here, one dimensional. Because arch also is 1D. Okay, so they are all the same. Okay, next thing that we take after assumption is what? I will say best thing now, there are different ways, there are different steps. What are the steps in theory of elasticity? What are the basics? Equation sets, equilibrium, constitutive relations, and strain displacement. These are the three sets of equation in elasticity. Of course, these have to be considered along with boundary conditions on the surface. So we'll follow the similar thing. So similar thing for plates also. You have equilibrium, you have strain displacement, you have constitutive. So any one can be taken there is no order fixed. So here, because we have made some assumptions regarding, this one is close to 0, gamma, etc. is 0. So I think let us take constitutive relations first. Constitutive means material. This is for material. Now plates we have done the theory for isotropic material, but later on I have told you how to extend it to orthotropic, then to layered. I have also told you how to extend the theory for thermal, taking thermal effects, temperature change. So what we can do, let us take here for shells, we will take orthotropic material, single throughout the orthotropic under temperature change right from beginning, so that we derive all the equations associated with it. Okay? Okay, so constitutive relation will be constitutive relation. So how to write down constitutive relation? Material constitutive relation. They are all point relations. So let us take orthotropic material. Homogeneous orthotropic material under temperature change. Temperature also is changing. So how should we write down the equations? Well, it will be like this. Now I have told you 1, 2, what should be used? 1, 2, 3 is all right. 3 means what? 3 means n, z. 3 means z. So let us use coordinates. You have alpha, beta, and then z, which is same as n. Instead of that, we will use alpha 1, alpha 2, and alpha 3. See, alpha 3 also, by the way, you also have curvilinear coordinates in space. You can have solid can be defined by 3 curvilinear coordinates, a solid. In fact, all the equations of elasticity can be derived in curvilinear coordinates alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3. Instead of x, y, z, you can have 3 curvilinear coordinates, 3-dimensional problem. In fact, this has been done. I have got the whole set. It is difficult, but then one should do that, because then you have full confidence, yes, how 3-dimensional equations can be reduced to 2-dimension. Here we are taking my alpha 3 is straight, z or n. It is not curvilinear. There are 2 curvilinear, and this one is z, which I am calling 3 now. So I will be using 1, 2 and 3. 3 means normal direction z. This is linear, and these 2 are curvilinear. This must be kept in mind. So first, in one direction. Strain, I have also told you that yes, this is it is always easier to write if you apply sigma 1 normal stress in one direction along one. It will produce normal strain, so that will be equal to sigma 1 by E1. It will also produce normal strain in two direction. Only thing, it will be negative, because if you are applying this positive, so it will be negative, and that will be given by epsilon 2, and that will be how much? Nu. But now this is orthotropic material. So I think I have told you nu 1 2 or nu 2 1. What is the definition? No. Nu 1 2. 1 2 means first this, there are, it is again a question of definition. You can say what is 1, what is 2. 1 is the loaded direction. If you are saying 1 2, then 2 is the effect. What is the effect of load 1 in two directions? Then you will call 1 2. But in modern books, I think almost everybody is, Krauss does not use. Krauss uses 1 2. I mean, old one. I had also been using it earlier, but now if you see any book written in the last 10 years, they are all using, they are all using 1 2, not 2 1. Okay, so this will be nu 1 2. Means load in one direction, effect in two, with a negative sign. Then third direction will be minus nu 1 3 sigma 1 by E1. What about gamma 1 2, gamma 1 3, gamma 2 3? A normal stress does not produce if it is orthogonal direction. If material also is material principal direction, is coinciding with that of the geometry. See, geometry also has got principal direction. 1 and 2 are my principal direction of geometry. Principal means maximum and minimum curvature. See, if there is surface, I can take my 1 in any direction. No. At any point, I will check what is the maximum curvature, if there is a one maximum, other one will be minimum at right angle. Take the case of cylindrical surface. One point, you have one r radius, other one is straight line. So one is maximum, other one is, and these two directions are called principal directions. Just like you have principal areas or something, principal planes. It stresses principal plane, but there is also something principal areas, principal shapes, even in strength, engineering mechanics, there is a chapter on principal something. Anyway, so principal means maxima or minima. So this is, here will be 0, 0, 0. Then next one, you apply 2. This will give you this. This will give you minus nu what nu 2 1 here. So 2 1 comes there on the first row. Please remember. I am just telling you to remember. If there is a Hooke's law which has been defined where 1 2 comes on the row, means you just say their definition is different of what is the Poisson's ratio. So 2 1 comes there, then minus nu what? 2 3 sigma 2 by E2 plus 0. One more I will just take here so that it is complete. So sigma 3 by E3 minus, so here it will be nu 3 1 nu what 3 2 plus 0 plus 0. So please note that 1, 2, 3 are principal directions. Principal material direction, there are also principal geometrical directions. Then you apply shear stress. Shear stress tau 1 2. If it is in principal direction, so tau 1 2 will produce only the corresponding shear strain. Not this also, not this also. And no normal strain. So if you are doing this here, so it will be tau 1 2 divided by G12 bus 0 0 0 0 0. Then tau 13 by G13 plus 0 here, no other, it produces nothing, and then tau 23 by G 23 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 0 and 0. So this is your mechanical. What about if temperature changes?
Sir, we have a class.
Yes. Okay. No, I'm just telling you. So if temperature changes, what will happen? These strains will be changed. So and temperature is just like like water. It produces at any point only normal strains. No shear. A small volume it will take, it will just expand or contract. So that will affect only the first three. So I'll just write it before it is too late. So here this will be just 3. So it will be alpha 1. If coefficient of thermal expansion is 1 and rise in temperature is T, so it will be this. This will be alpha 2T plus alpha 3T. 0 0 0. Anyway, so we'll just put it. So this is your generalized Hooke's law for linear elastic material which is undergoing also change in temperature and material is homogeneous orthotropic. Okay. So please write it in compact form and then we'll start in the